She was only assigned to the gate. For most people, that sounded like the most ordinary post in the military, a job where you checked IDs, raised a barrier, and waved people in or out. For her, it was even more humbling. She had joined the service not to be seen but to serve quietly, to prove to her family and herself that she could stand tall in a uniform that many thought she would never be strong enough to wear. She was 5'4", lean but not intimidating, and often overlooked in a world where broad shoulders and deep voices carried weight. Still, every morning before dawn, she would lace up her boots, pin her hair neatly, and whisper to herself, "Do your duty. Be unseen but unshakable." At Gate 7 of the naval base, she watched hundreds of vehicles pass through. Some days it felt endless. The smell of diesel, the glare of headlights, the rumble of engines. Her back ached, her hands got cold, her eyes burned from scanning IDs for hours on end. She knew people thought it was just a gate job, but she also knew that one slip, one unchecked vehicle, one distracted moment, could risk lives inside. She carried that weight silently. But even silence has cracks. Behind her calm face, there were memories. Her father, a truck driver, who never came back from the road one winter storm. Her mother, juggling 2 jobs to raise her and her little brother. The weight of being the responsible one. She had learned early that the world didn't hand out medals for simply enduring. So when she stood at that gate, she treated every salute she gave, every ID she checked, like it mattered. Even when others barely noticed her. Then came that morning. The sun was just breaking over the horizon, casting streaks of amber across the rows of Humvees lined up outside. A convoy was expected. She had been told to be extra sharp. Her boots pressed into the pavement as she braced against the cool breeze. One by one, vehicles rolled in. Marines, sailors, officers, she checked them all. Quick, professional, almost mechanical. Then the black SUV appeared. Tinted windows, 2 escorts before and after. Her chest tightened. This was someone high up. The driver rolled down the window. Behind him sat a man whose presence filled the space before his words ever did. A.U.S. Navy SEAL Commander. She knew the insignia, the posture, the kind of authority you didn't mistake. Her heart skipped. She straightened her back, saluted, voice firm as she greeted him. For a second, she thought he would just nod and wave her on like so many did. But instead, the commander's eyes met hers. He studied her, really saw her. And then, before she could even lower her hand, he returned the salute. Not a half salute, not a distracted flick of the wrist. A full, deliberate salute, crisp and sharp, from one warrior to another. She froze. The world seemed to fall silent. Cars stopped moving in her ears. The sound of the sea in the distance, the hum of radios, even her own breath, everything faded. All she could feel was the weight of that gesture. Her eyes stung, though she held her composure. Because in that single salute, something shifted. She wasn't invisible anymore. She wasn't just the girl at the gate. She wasn't the one people overlooked. In that moment, a SEAL commander had acknowledged her as an equal, as someone carrying the same sacred duty, no matter how small her post seemed. Later, the story spread. Some said the commander had been moved by the discipline he saw in her, the precision of her posture, the unflinching steadiness in her eyes. Others said he had simply recognized the unspoken truth, that every role in uniform mattered, that courage isn't measured by rank or by medals but by the quiet resolve to serve when no one is watching. That night, when she sat alone in her barracks, she replayed it in her mind again and again. The salute, the silence, The validation she never thought she'd feel. And she realized something. She hadn't been standing at that gate just to check IDs. She had been standing there for her father who never came home, for her mother who worked herself weary, for every person who thought ordinary posts didn't matter. She had been proving that dignity isn't in the title of the job but in the heart that does it. And somewhere deep down, she knew, when history remembers the great battles, the famous names, the decorated heroes, it might not remember her post at Gate 7. But she would always remember the day a Navy SEAL commander saluted her first, and how that moment carried her through every doubt, every lonely watch, every cold morning. Because sometimes, the smallest posts hold the biggest pride. And sometimes, the world only needs one salute to finally see you.